Welcome to the Full Experience. This is a show that looks at 4 select episodes of a television series to see if we can get the full experience of what that series was about. We watched the first, we watched the ultimate, the highest rated by IMDb ratings, the lowest rated, and the last episode. This time, we are talking about the ultimate episode, rated 8.1 on IMDb, Season 1, Episode 6 of Land of the Lost, The Stranger, which first aired October 12th, 1974. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man. So this episode, as we noticed last week, was written by Walter Koenig of Chekhov from Star Trek, the original series. I guess that caused me to expect a little bit more from the writing, knowing that it was a primetime veteran.
We all know
writing this.
That no single credited writer ever gets to write everything.
This was a team effort.
Yeah. So maybe he had a better script that was beaten down in the process. We don't know. I will say this was more of an episode than the first one that we watched.
Yes. Although it was fascinating to, I had to remind myself that this is 50 years old. Half a century is a long time for a lot of things to change. For example, acceptable behavior from a father. Also,
did you feel that one like right in the gut?
Well, I mean, I was there watching it with my 21-year-old daughter, Penelope, but we were both like, holy moly. And Penny was like, could you imagine trying to get away with that today? I'm like, no, because there's like some implications of beatings and it's doubly weird too, because the older kid, the older kid is clearly like 30. The two of them look almost the same age. But in this case, it was interesting because the Penny really reacted. She had never seen the show at all. So I got to be there to see the amazed delight at the low budgetness in the intro. Because as we've talked about before, you get everything from stop motion to sock puppetry to cheap models to a green screen extravaganza with banjo music going crazy in there. She was giddy at just how bizarre it was. But then that mood turned because there are two things that got really authentically right. That back and forth, brother, sister, sibling, rage baiting energy, where the moment dad's out of the picture, each of them, their job is to just get something interesting to happen from the other one by poking at him. And then the dad comes in and then both of them, put the mask back on. I remember that. And it's been so long since I was there. It was great to have a bridge of a young adult say, yep, that's exactly how it be like. As also, and in this case, the Sleestaks, very low budget costumes. But there was something about, because they only had the one set, the one set in a corner shot, and because you couldn't get a lot of dynamic motion, so the Sleestaks do this kind of plodding zombie-like thing, but they have to rely on them constantly appearing places where your mental map says they couldn't have gotten there. And as a result, Tom, I'll be danged if this super cheap show didn't trigger a little bit of dreamlike anxiety in me because of the restrictions of the low budget that they were working on.
Oh, interesting. As far as effects goes, the only note that I took was the dinosaur Alice eating the ribs was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it was a little bit more visceral. It's been a minute since we've seen that kind of. It was a bit like, go back and watch the first Captain America movie before they were acquired by Disney. It's not a deal breaker, but it is odd to see Captain America just shooting a 9mm handgun.
Yeah. I guessed, I'm not trying to compliment myself when I say this, but I guessed that Enoch was from the future pretty early on. As soon as they said there was a lost city, I was like, oh, he's not from the past. He's from the future. He's not from the future. He's from the past. That lost city is his civilization, clearly. But I actually liked, even though I wasn't surprised by the twist, I liked that. I liked that little bit of storytelling that we got in the episode. Also, they mentioned a dimensional portal again. Annika mentioned that. So that was nice. It's something we'd only alluded to in the intro before.
Yeah, I'm becoming more comfortable with the thoughtfulness of like earthquakes don't cause rivers to go to other lands, but because of the hints at all of these other deeper layers to everything.
It does feel like the original concept in somebody's mind was the people in the middle of the under the crust. You know, there's the mole men legends and like a whole civilization that is under the hollow earth theory, all of that. It feels like that was the original concept, and then they just kind of at some point took a left turn in development and was like, but if it's a hollow earth, why do we have a sky? Let's just say it was a portal, and they're somewhere totally different. So they can't get back up to the surface.
Well, and to be honest, that's probably, given the fidelity of the time, the right call to make. It's like, look, I've got this beautiful matte painting of 3 moons in the sky. We can not use it, or we could just be flexible.
It's the 6th episode of season 1, and they haven't figured out food yet. They're still trying to figure out like what's safe to eat. Feels like they would have figured that out right off the bat.
Yeah, I give that a pass.
I would give it a pass if it was in service of the story, but I'm not sure it was.
It really wasn't. It was really distracting.
Yeah, Amos, help us out.
There was a wasted full minute in there.
I think we might find this out later, but to my memory, this show, and especially the 2 episodes we watched, is that they're essentially standalone. Like every episode you watch the intro and it goes into this thing that they're having, this problem that they're having, that they're experiencing, and it can be watched on its own. So to my memory, every time they come up to a problem, the dad has to explain it to them like they just got there. And it's just happening for the first time.
But then they know the Slee Stacks, and they know Alice, and they know Grumpy.
Right. But the new problems will always, like the entirety of the story could happen in like 3 days.
Again, I'd be fine with that if that was necessary to tell the story, but it just felt like that was a little bit of filler of like, let's have him talk about fruit for a minute before we bring in Enoch. I thought Enoch was a great character. I enjoyed that. I'm not sure what
Personally,
happened to him.
Tom, I found his exposition a bit long-winded. It seems like perhaps he could have done literally anything or written in riddles and given anybody a puzzle to solve. But instead, he cuts people off and then says, see, me cutting people off, that was because I have telepathy.
I am grasping at the fact that he actually had a moral quandary. They provided an actual thing they had to think about and make a decision about, though.
That is true. That is true.
I'm super happy that they gave a reason for him to speak English.
Which was?
The telepathy.
Oh, the telepathy let him speak English. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he wasn't just suddenly speaking English. Like they gave some sort of reason, like something I could put 1 and 1 together.
Well, that's Walter Koenig. He's like, well, we got the universal translator on Star Trek. We got to put something in here. So yeah. Now, Amos,
nature's universal translator.
You didn't make it to the end of this episode, this 22-minute episode.
I did not.
Brian, I assume you did.
Yeah, actually, I didn't. I kind of really perked up in that last minute where I'm like, oh, they showed up because, first of all, even though, yes, Planet of the Apes had come out 10 years before this, still bit of a throwaway treatment to that earth-shattering revelation that his society has collapsed.
Well,
he's like, as one does.
I guess I'll just go back to the past this time.
Well, and then he says, these calculations are going to be very complicated, so leave me alone. I'm not going to be in several episodes, but keep me on the chessboard to show up if you need a surprise.
But
to get
then
you
what
out of
happened
the jam
to him
later.
at the end? They turn and like, thanks, Enoch, and it's just like a glowing wall.
Yes. Yep.
Did he leave and go back to the past? Is he behind the glowing wall? Why
He's
was
somewhere in the cave? I gathered.
They couldn't afford to have him in the shot? Like, I'm just confused.
Well, you know what? Here's what they needed: is the script said. I guarantee you, Sir Shakespeare Koenig wrote. And as they walk over the horizon, they turn to look back at the empty cave entrance, and they wave, saying, "So long, Enoch, so long."
and see nothing but the glow of his work as he toils away.
In the forge. By the way, it looks an awful lot like a mini golf thing in a mall.
XGD Falcon says they explain things like that because the audience was 10 to 13 years old.
That is true. And also, look, I give it a pass for form, structure, function, budget, time, place. Look, there's a reason we love it and are coming back to experience it again.
Absolutely.
With elder eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Well, anything else on this episode of Land of the Lost? 106, The Stranger.
Go
Enid
ahead.
Didn't know the address to get the family back to Earth of their time.
Yes.
Well, how would they even describe it?
So he's aware of the addresses. He understands how to get back to his time and his place.
Yeah.
But it took him the revelation of this lost city to know that he was in the wrong time.
That he was in the wrong place.
Right.
So if he tries to go back, he's going to kill himself because he's going to land somewhere wrong.
If he hadn't, because apparently, I don't know. That
maybe
was
just had a negative sign where it should have been a positive sign and he'll be fine.
He carried the one, something, I don't know.
He did imperial units instead of metric. It's all good.
Yeah, that little thought chain right there would never occur to me at 13, but at 48, it's like,
There was a moment that triggered a core memory for me that brought me back to a Cordkillers from, I believe, 10 years ago. There is a moment where they needed a force field. Oh, that's right. That was also a fun puzzle. Both me and Penny perked up when they said they were going to do a force field. And they're like, how are they going to do it? And because now it's a chess game of with the budget of $20 at a taco, how do you make a force field?
How do you make a force
field?
field?
And the answer is, we forgot. You have the power of green screen. You could just chroma key and just jiggle it on and off. But the two kids are holding the blue and red stone together to create a force field. And that instantly took me back to a also equally age-targeted program that I saw in the early 80s on Nickelodeon, where they would run BBC imports kind of in a Twilight Zone anthology way. They ran it under the name The Third Eye, and I think they had three or four. Yeah. And I went back. It's available on YouTube. It's called Children of the Stones, and it clearly has a higher budget. I mean, it opens with a helicopter shot and so on, but it's targeted at the same age audience, and it is instantly hypnotic. Look at this. I just got goosebumps thinking of the intro of the opening to Children of the Stones. Give that a try. If you're in the same headspace that we're in right now, remembering programs targeted at this age audience at that time, take a look. I think you'll really dig it. Just search for Children of the Stones. There's a bootleg of it up on YouTube.
Next time we meet, are you guys ready to talk about the worst episode of Land of the Lost?
Oh no, I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to figure out whatever it is, there's going to be the most of it, whether it's
This episode was ranked 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Abominable Snowman was ranked 5.6 out of 10 on IMDb TV. That is the episode that we will be watching next time.
Tom, non-zero chance that in the full experience, as we've gone through many shows are unfairly ranked lowest for reasons totally unrelated to the content, because it didn't speak to the core story or because some other news event happened around that time. What if something about the Abominable Snowman and this coming out pretty much concurrently with the $6 Million Man having its Bigfoot episodes? Maybe this is an unfairly maligned episode.
Possibly. We're jumping 2 years ahead too. These kids are going to be 2 years older. So Will be 25. I'm not joking. I went and looked up his birthday. He'll literally be 25. This one aired November 6, 1976. Abominable Snowman, the lowest rated episode of Land of the Lost. That's what we'll talk about next time on The Full Experience. If you want to get these episodes early before everybody else, either watch them live or become a patron and you'll get them delivered right to you. White Glove Experience, patreon.com/Cordkillers. We'll talk to you next time.